when Arjuna says, is there any other way? And Krishna says, no, you just have to concentrate on me and all your senses on me. And that's pretty much the only way that you can, get through this life, doing your karma and yet offering all the results to me. So there's no other way. Yeah, I mean that really struck out, like when he says no, just me.
Excellent. Okay, so that's right over here. Anyone else? Anything?
Yeah, I think there was a mention about samadhi and how to attain samadhi, but and then between samadhi and meditation, how do you distinguish between the two? Because there was mention of samadhi here, but there was no reference for meditation.
Yes. So the meditation concept will come up, but samadhi means one who's fully absorbed in spiritual full absorption. So that's why that question that came up: what is citta pragya? Person who is in samadhi. So
that was one word.
At this point, so Krishna tells him, look, if you attain this practical intelligence, you'll be totally disinterested in these desires in the mind. Then you'll get satisfaction from your own soul. You'll be neutral to matter. You'll not have attraction or aversion to matter, and you'll not praise or criticize any particular failure or success. You will withdraw your senses when necessary, like a turtle. This is for protection. And the only way it's possible to detach from sense enjoyment is when you develop a higher enjoyment, a higher taste. And where is that higher taste found? Krishna says, experience me. This is really the only way. Find elsewhere? No, it's not possible. It's only with me. Okay? So in the final summary, we said that Krishna said, if your senses are not controlled by absorption, then there's a chain reaction that we fall into. Dhyayata, Vishaya, sounds, and so contemplation, desire, anger, confusion. Somewhere or other, this chain will grab us. So focus on me, do it devotional act. Then you'll get this flow of mercy called divine compassion. That compassion and flow of mercy is what protects you from that chain reaction. Okay, what is that compassion? That is a constitutional joy that comes from within. And the point without Krishna, you can have compassion, which has a solid intelligence, and then without intelligence you cannot control the senses properly, and then without that there is no peace, and without peace there's no happiness. The analogy, Krishna says, don't be like the boat that gets swayed away by the winds of different material desires that appear in the mind. Be like the ocean that in spite of different desires that flow in like rivers, doesn't matter, because the mind is focused on the higher thing, which is Krishna. And then when you maintain this steadiness even up to the end of life, you'll achieve this thing called spiritual supreme peace. And that is the attainment of the platform. Really, we summarize all the key points in chapter 2. Okay? Now we move on to chapter 3. So I'm going to close chapter 2.
Yay!
Haribol!
Haribol!
Round of applause, because chapter 2 is one of the most grueling and difficult and long. It is really practically one of the longest ones.
So many concepts.
Yeah. But it lays the foundation for the rest of the Gita to understand. So stay along with me. We all say together, Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay, so this is an important note I put in front of every chapter. That spiritual knowledge must be received from authorized sources only. Spiritual knowledge is not something like, I think it's my opinion, so it's true for me. No, it's not relative truth. It has to come from authority. What is my opinion has no value. Okay, so you think has no value. Only what does the Lord think? That's what matters. And these sources, authorized sources, what? Gita, Bhagavatam, the scriptures. And of course, the parampara succession, the disciplic succession, the acharyas who are in line coming from Krishna, their sources. So everything we assert, we teach, we read, it has to be from these sources. Sometimes there are interpolations in the conversation to help us understand one point, how it flows to the other. Even those interpolation and connections have to be taken only from the explanation of our acharyas. We can't make those up either. So that is key, and that's how we have built this course. Okay. So chapter 3 opens like this. Arjun keeps asking, he'll keep asking the same question again and again from different angles. So he says, you say, Krishna, you said that intelligence is more important than action. But then you push me into terrible actions. Gorema. This is a confusing contradiction. So please answer clearly. Clearly means tell me for sure now. Because sometimes in the middle of conversation, you seem to be going toward the philosophy. Sometimes you're saying, no, just do your duty. To me, intelligence still seems like sitting down like this fellow here. Sword is there, but I'm just going to sit over here. On the other hand, I should be like this, flaming arrows coming out. Which is it? So he's confused. It's a question mark.
Oh, yeah.
You see? Intelligence or action? Jnana or karma? In spite of that whole chapter 2, Arjuna still has this confusion. And so Krishna is going to clarify it from the point of what is this karma yoga? What exactly does it mean? So the chapter title itself is Karma Yoga, which gives you an idea of what is going to be the main topic of focus for this chapter. So Krishna says, look, I did not say that intelligence is more important than action. I said you must synthesize the two paths. You see, it has to come together. The science of philosophy and the practicality of action. Because both of them have tremendous value. Philosophy will take you to the truth, and it's based on the truth. It's jnana, the absolute truth, meaning that you're eternal and you need to reunite with the supreme source of everything, which is me. That is really the whole point of jnana. However, you are stuck in a very difficult situation. You are stuck in the material realm, in the material body, in a material society. And you have not only the physical body, but you have all the trappings of the material psychology. That is what you need to break out of. And in order to break out of that and bring yourself to the platform of spirituality, to do it feasibly, you have to incorporate action in it, because you're already performing action. And it's much easier than giving up everything. It's much easier to use the medium of action to elevate yourself to the spiritual platform. And that is the sum and substance of the 3rd chapter. Okay? Understand the philosophy, understand the jnana, but synthesize with the action so that you don't do any action that is contradictory to jnana, but the action elevates you spiritually. Okay? So then Arjuna says, yeah, okay, what is the point? Why even do action? If philosophy is more sublime than action, why should I just dedicate myself to it completely? Look, I just hold this book and just read the verses, contemplate on them, think about them. If I feel hungry, I just eat some fruits on the trees. Who cares? I don't care for kingdom anyway. Move to the forest. Main goal is to understand the jnana and meditate on it, deliberate on it, think about it. What's the point of incorporating action? Action is so complicated, it really messes us up. Look at me right now. I don't feel like killing these people. And this is like supposed to be part of something elevating me spiritually. So Krishna says, look, to completely dedicate yourself to philosophy, you must put it into practice. True philosophy is not inactive. It is practical. You can't just be bookworm like this guy over here. It's not inactive. To actually see whether the philosophy works or not, you have to try it out, you have to put it in practice. No one becomes truly wise or free from worldliness by just sitting around doing nothing. That's not how it works. You want to learn anything in the university also. You can learn chemistry or physics. Sit in the lecture, fine, but then 3 times a week they have lecture, and once a week there's a 3-hour lab. Lab shows you how it works. You actually put the chemicals together, you see it. That's practical. You have to have the practical also. So then, anyway, it's impossible to truly do nothing. No one can pass a single moment without doing something. Action is basically there no matter what. Everyone is helplessly forced to act at every moment by their very nature. And if you sit in a forest, you still need to collect the fruits, you collect the firewood, you need to cook something. I mean, you need to still look for fetch water from the river, and you look for the pot. I mean, there's something, even everything, you think you're separate from it, but some action is always required. Then Arjuna says, yeah, but what about these guys who live in the cave, They seem to be doing nothing. I can be like one of them. And Krishna says, look, everyone knows they're pretenders. Krishna actually says this in Bhagavad-gita. Mithyachara sauchita. He says that sometimes people sit down, they try to think, but if the mind is still dwelling on the objects of the senses, then what is the point? Then you are basically a hypocrite. Mithyachara. Mithyachara means that achara is false. Your behavior is false. You're just putting on a show, but your mind is still absorbed in gratification of senses. Everyone knows they're pretenders. They pretend to be doing nothing, but they're quite active beneath the surface. Maybe they don't enjoy sense gratification, but in their mind, they keep constantly going to there. The senses are artificially repressed, but their minds reminisce on sense objects. So Arjun, don't try to go for this route. Some people do it fine, but even those people who have some degree of success in that, at some point their mind gets, it's very easy for mind to slip when you're in this kind of situation. We have the example of Vishwamitra. So then Arjuna says, okay, how can we avoid being a pretender? Like this so-called sadhu over here, they just walk around, but look what he's doing. He's just smoking some ganja. So that's the pretension right there. How can we avoid that? So then Krishna says it is possible to truly control the senses, but real sense control begins by freeing your mind from selfishness. That's where you got to focus on. Now this selfishness, it weighs you down. It's a big enemy of your mind. And to get rid of that is only accomplished after using your senses intelligently. Using the senses intelligently is far better than making a show of giving up the world. Okay? So when Krishna is using the senses, it's not just these 5 senses of acquiring. Even the rest of the body is like arms, and we work in the world with our senses too. So everything, our whole body, when we orient it intelligently and we use the senses properly, intelligent way, that will help you free in totality from this selfishness, which is really the root cause. Then you will not be, then when it comes time to sit down and think deeply, you'll not be distracted and will not be trapped in this hypocritical whirlpool of still absorbing the mind in sense gratification. So Arjuna asks, but how can I use the senses intelligently unless I first cultivate intelligence? Right? At some point I must cultivate intelligence, otherwise I'll still just be following my senses. So then Krishna gives the key. At first you borrow intelligence from the scriptures by doing your duties responsibly. That is the beginning of intelligent action. So you first find out what your duties are. And then you perform your duties, but like I told you in 2nd chapter, not for the fruit, but you perform them selflessly. That is the beginning of intelligent action. It is much better than trying to stop all activities. If you give up your activities, you won't even be able to keep your body functioning properly. Right? So what is the key here? Understand from scriptures what is your duty, and then do that duty responsibly. So then Arjuna says, yes, but when I'm engaged with my senses, that action itself, doesn't that cause bondage? the karmic reaction. Don't we get that? So Krishna says, yes, but don't do anything for sake of sensuality. Don't do it for your sense gratification. Work only for the sake of sacrifice. So now here in this particular verse, the word sacrifice is yajna. And it is translated in two different ways. If you look at, there are two ways to look at it, and both ways are valid. One way is Krishna's name or Vishnu's name is yajna. So if you look at the translation in the book, it says, work for the sake of Vishnu. Yajna arthat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Yajna arthat, for the pleasure of Krishna, for the pleasure of Vishnu, you work. Yajna arthat karmano. Anyatra, otherwise, loko ayam karma bandhana. Otherwise, you'll be tied in to this worldly desires and it'll be cause of your bondage and further degradation. But if you work as sacrifice, you will become, if you work for the purpose of giving sacrifice, you'll become perfectly liberated. Okay? So Arjuna asks, okay, even if I work as sacrifice, what happens, right? This is a basket of fruits. What happens is that fruits come out of action. Results will come to me. And I will inevitably enjoy them to some extent, at least, right? So what does Krishna say? He says, that's good actually. Because if you have done your duty selflessly, the side effects, which is the fruits that come of it, are wholesome. Wholesome means they're actually nourishing. And this is a system that I have set up. So this is Brahma. He says, I have told Brahma to set up like this. Okay. So when the Creator created duties, he told the people, may these duties make you prosperous and fulfill your every desire. Please the gods by these duties, and the gods will bless you with everything you desire. Thus both of you will prosper. But if you try to prosper without sacrifice, you become a thief, subject to punishment. Basically, if you're doing selfishly, then you'll get punished. Punishment means the karmic bondage. That is why those who eat food that remains after they feed others never suffer. After you offer food in sacrifice. Right? Yajna shishtashinā santo mucchante sarva kilpishaye bhunjate te tvakam papa ye pachanti atmakaranaat. That's this line here. Those who don't offer their food in sacrifice, they cook only for themselves, they eat only their own demise. Demise means they're basically eating sinful reactions only. So the point here is that whatever food we eat, we should offer it first to Krishna. That is called yajna, yajnartha. And this is a system. So Krishna is describing this is a system I've set up. So when you work within this system in a selfless way, then whatever reactions come of it, reaction means the fruits you get from it are very nourishing to you spiritually. But even those fruits, you have to properly use them. Like you offer to Krishna, you eat. So then he described the system, he continued to describe the system. Your bodies are made from the nutrients in food. Right? Food comes from rain. Rain comes from nature. Don't try to steal from nature. Nature doesn't belong to you, it belongs to me. The personified forces of nature are pleased when you are selfless and dutiful. These are the different devatas who are in control of rain and this and that. They are very pleased when you follow the system. Duties are defined by the Vedas, which are spiritual sound waves. Therefore, duties are essentially spiritual. So you see, now he's coming, even though they're Vedas, they appear material. But if you follow your duties selflessly, that is a spiritual path. It makes success in spiritual life feasible, possible, and accessible. So follow these duties and you will prosper materially and spiritually. So this is Arjuna's question that, I will work, I'll get some fruits. But Krishna says, no, that's a system I've set up. You will get fruits and it's fine. The side effects are actually good. Those fruits are good. So then Arjuna says, okay, good. Then maybe it is righteous to be happy and healthy as a natural side effect of doing my duty, right? I can just keep enjoying the fruits. And Krishna says, don't get too excited. Don't get ahead of yourself. So yes, Trying to be quote unquote happy and healthy without following this approach to life is dangerous and degrading. Without following what? Without following the spiritual goal, keeping the spiritual higher goal in mind. Don't get trapped again in this healthy, happy life. That is the baseline for your material body to exist. But don't make that the goal. That is a side effect. Remember that. That is a side effect. If you remember in chapter 2, I explained to you, right? Krishna explained, right? That those who are bhoga aishwarya prasattanam taya pahrita chetasam, those who want bhoga and aishwarya, they go after the Vedas. The Vedas give that. Don't get trapped in that. So my point, Krishna says to Arjuna, is that yes, you work selflessly. Some fruits will come out of it. Nothing wrong with enjoying it holistically, eating the fruits, getting strong, getting healthy, promoting health, everything. But that is not the goal. That is a side effect. Don't get trapped in the side effect. Selfish people living like that are meaninglessly intoxicated by sensual pleasure. You see, like this. Like, don't get trapped in the side effect just because it's pleasant. It's pleasant, it's wholesome, it's nourishing, it's strengthening. That is not the goal. So what if I do my duty, but mainly for the sake of the enjoyable side effect it produces? So now I forget about Krishna. I'm just going for the basket of fruits and I'm going to follow my duty. I'm going to follow the Vedic system. I'm going to do the sacrifice, everything. But my goal is the fruits. Then what happens? Then Krishna says, it's not terrible, but you can do much better. You see, the source of the happiness that's flowing in your heart should not be that basket of fruits that comes out. Quench your thirsts from the well of your own soul, because the pleasure you get by connecting with spiritual life is so much more delightful and so much more satisfying. He says, delight within yourself. Then you will have no personal need for action. You will be self-sustained and will have no ulterior motive for doing or not doing anything. Strive for this way of life, fulfilling your responsibilities without ulterior motive. To work without personal attachment is the best catalyst of spiritual evolution. Okay, so I'm going to pause here for today. We've covered a good amount of material, but I think it's simple enough for us to understand. So if we have any questions on how this is connecting, or if you have any comments, what you liked, what you understand, or any clarifications, observations, please feel free to jump in.
Prabhuji, you were saying there are two definitions of yajna. One, yajna itself means Krishna, and the other yajna is
Sacrifice.
The actual sacrifice yajna that we do as per the Vedic rituals.
Yes. No, not just Vedic. Any sacrifice that you do.
Like animal sacrifice and all.
Typically in the Vedic rituals, those fire sacrifices that we do, different yugas have different sacrifices that are prescribed. In Kali Yuga, the fire sacrifice is not recommended so much. It's not as powerful. In Kali Yuga, the yajna is Sankirtan yajna. So that is a sacrifice.
Yeah, because I actually read in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that exactly what he said, like the Sankirtana is the yajna that we should do in Kali Yuga, because it's said in the Bhagavatam, Sankirtana, the word. And there was another line where Prabhupada says that though there are different kinds of yajnas, each yajna is prescribed to a person based on the kind of duty he's setting out to do, like, or the kind of like a person who is into violence or meat eating does a yajna to goddess Durga.
Kali.
Yeah.
Typically Kali.
So this is all about the sacrificial animal sacrifice that we observe.
Yes. Although like we said, these yagyas differ from yuga to yuga. So in Kali Yuga, those animal sacrifices not even, they're forbidden. Yeah, they're not allowed. So those who do them in Kali Yuga are doing it out of context, and they get severe karmic reaction for that. Okay. Padma Mataji, you had a question? Go ahead. You have to unmute yourself.
Sorry. Yeah. So my question is about the offering that you mentioned, that before we eat, we should offer to Krishna. Like, how do you do that? I've seen many people, like, when I used to work, seen people like, before they eat from their plate, they take some and, keep it aside. But I never understood that part of it. Is that what we're talking about here, or this offering of to the God is different, what you're saying?
Yeah, that's a very good question, a very practical question. Maybe Mansi can answer. Can you describe how the offering is done?
Yeah, so Srila Prabhupada recommends very, very simple method. Whatever you cook in the house, you offer it to the Lord. Take it out in a nice, clean, separate utensil, offer it to the Lord, and by heart just pray initially that this is an offering we are making, and basically it's yours and we are offering it to you. And then you let him eat for a little bit, and then after some time you take it back, and then you mix it with the main prasadam, and then you take the grains or fruits or whatever has been cooked. So this is simple, which is cooked. Non-cooked item also is offerable, as long as they are not meat, fish, eggs or anything. Say for example, cereal, you can take it out, offer it. You can offer a fruit, water, milk, juices, anything.
So yeah, it's a very simple process, the offering part. So the key thing is that we are doing it for the pleasure of Krishna. And the idea is that this act of offering is going to accomplish two very key things. One, it purifies the food itself. It'll nourish me spiritually. Second, it teaches me to come closer to Krishna and develop my love for Krishna. For example, and it pleases the Lord so much. I'll give you a very simple example. Suppose a father comes home and he has two children, and he comes home from office and he's brought them a bag of candies. Each kid gets one bag of candies. So both kids, he gives them candies here, and they're so excited. And they open the candies, and then one kid takes the bag and runs away into his room. The other kid, he opens the bag and he takes out the first candy and gives it to the father. Daddy, you eat first. So that pleases the father so much that first, before you enjoyed, you thought of me. That is nice. That means you love me more than the candies.
Okay.
I mean, it shows that you are thinking of me, you're appreciating what I've done for you. Father can eat 10 bags on the side. That's not the point. And the candy is coming from father only. It's not the kid has produced the candy. So similarly, when we offer to the Lord, whatever we are going to eat, it's not that we are giving something to the Lord. No, the Lord has given us. We are offering it back to him to express our love and appreciation for him. No, you enjoy first. I'm going to make very nicely. I'm not going to taste it even. I'm going to make first class. I'll learn how to make it without having to taste it. So the standard of making for the Lord is we don't taste. We don't make it jutha. We don't like touch our mouth to the cooking utensil and stuff like that. Then we keep a separate plate, like Mansi was saying. Separate plate, we keep it for the Lord. So nobody eats out of that plate. That's only reserved for Krishna. And we put the offerings there. If possible, then you can have tulsi plant. If not, you can have some dry tulsi leaves. So you put tulsi leaves in the offering. Then you bow down. Typically, we ring the bell to invite the Lord to come and take the, bhoga, the offering. And then we say the prayer. Prayer is simple. It can just be Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. You say 3 times, and with your heart. There are other prayers when you want to make more elaborate. When you want to be learn more and more. There are number of other prayers that you can learn. So we can give those to you if you're interested.
But the first connection is heart to heart.
Heart to heart.
Caring that he's there, he's watching. He inspired me to make this, and this is for first for him.
And the process is very simple to do. Is that okay, Mataji?
Yes, yes. And can I ask you another question?
Sure.
So this is from the previous chapter, chapter 2. There was one particular passage where it was mentioning that it's wrong to meditate on, say certain things or nothingness, even in your not thinking of anything. It's not the right way to meditate. The meditation should be on Krishna. But what exactly am I to think when I'm meditating of Krishna? If you could, please let me know.
Yes. So the process of meditation that is prescribed in Kali Yuga is the mantra meditation, not silent meditation.
Okay.
So mantra meditation is the most powerful meditation process. So like, when we sit together, or even if not together, alone, we sit and we take these japa beads, right? These beads, and we chant. So you focus. So meditation on the beads is particularly powerful because Tulsi is very holy, very sacred. Then it also engages a sense of touch. It engages a sense of hearing because you're saying that, not silent. You're saying even softly, but you're saying it, so you hear, and you're engaging a sense of speech. So these couple of senses are engaged. So that focus is right away. Then the name itself, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This particular arrangement of the names of Krishna is very powerful and is designed for this age of Kali. So when we meditate on the sound vibration, you focus on the sound itself. So all the power of the Lord, every energy of the Lord is invested in the sound of that holy name. Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis. So Sarva Shakti means all his energies. His energy of compassion, his energy of omniscience, his energy of supreme mercy, his energy of burning up the sins, all those different energies. Every energy of the Supreme Lord, including his beauty, his strength, is all invested in the name. That is a meditation that is prescribed.
I'm not thinking anything. I'm just listening to the sound, and that's it.
Precisely. You don't need to think anything. The less you think and more you focus on the sound, the more powerful that meditation session becomes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. We have Kinjal Mataji has a question. Go ahead, Kinjal Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, do not pranam. My question is that, like Krishna put the first chapter about the army setup, then he did the all contents of the Gita, like he's covered whatever he's going to say in the Gita. Then he put the third chapter is a Karma Yoga, and fourth chapter is a Gyan Yoga. Why he put as a Gyan Yoga? For my reasoning that we need the knowledge to understand, right? So why he doesn't choose the third chapter as a Gyan Yoga and then Karma Yoga?
Good question. Good question. Krishna has a strategy in how he's going to build up these various topics, you see. So as part of the strategy, he also makes Arjuna ask certain questions. These are Arjuna's questions, but the particular kind of confusion Krishna is creating with Arjuna.
Very good question.
You see, so Krishna is architecting this in such a way that he can build up to it and bring up concepts gradually, where understanding of one concept depends on first you fully understand part A, then part B will be easier to understand. So actually all the yogas already covered in chapter 2. So he's already mentioned Jnana Yoga quite a bit. Jnana Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, all the different yogas are touched upon in chapter 2. Then he goes into a particular kind of yoga that is more easily relatable, which is karma. Most people do karma. So now to go from karma to karma yoga is much easier than go straight to understanding Jnana Yoga. So now you see in chapter 3, Arjuna says, you want to do Jnana, but you tell me to do karma, what is it? So then Krishna says, no, you have to synthesize the two. It's very powerful. Then let me tell you more now about what that Gyan component, let me give you more details in chapter 4. But first, make sure you don't lose sight and don't forget that karma has to be there. That's why he puts karma first.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's a whole strategy, and that becomes more clear as we build the concepts one on top of the other. Remember this, we're only in third chapter, there are 18 chapters. So there's quite a bit of material still ahead of us.
Okay.
But,
Thanks,
yeah,
Prabhu.
Nice
good question. Good question. Anyone else have any questions or comments? If not,
I like that in 3rd chapter, Arjuna just goes to the heart and he says, just tell me, first verse, he just says, just tell me what is beneficial for me. You explained in chapter all this karma, that karma, yoga, buddhi, and bhakti, and ultimately me. So I'm all confused. Tell me exactly what I need to do. And we find many times that we also, cut through the chase, just tell me what I need to do. That's it. So I like that Arjuna's question. Krishna, just tell me black and blue what I need to do. And then Krishna opens up and he says that you need to do karma, your prescribed duty.
Also, Prabhuji, in the very beginning of today's class, when the question comes up, when Arjuna says that why philosophy and action, you said that what to choose between philosophy and action, and then you clarified that actually the action is based on the philosophy. That was very nice, because usually philosophy is mocked upon. People say that he's being too philosophical and so doesn't make sense, so we take them lightly. But actually there's a lot of thought in philosophy, and if you follow it, your action can be more your action will be more meaningful.
not only that, your action can only be meaningful if it's based on.
It will be only be yes. So, but it's a common किसी का मजाक उड़ा देते हैं easily that he's being too philosophical. And also some people are philosophical when they want to be lazy. Maybe because of that it's being mocked upon.
And some people think that is the goal of the Gita, is to pull people out of laziness. Karma karo, karma karo. No, that is not the goal, to pull people out of laziness. The goal is to, when you do something, you should only do it if you know what you're doing. Don't do something when you don't know what you're doing. In fact, sometimes people think, by doing karma, gradually I'll become purified, and then I'll understand. Then I'll be philosophical. Then I'll understand. Then I'll be, qualified. But no, you're not authorized to do any work unless you know. Otherwise, you'll end up being destructive to yourself, to your surroundings, and to your fellow humans. So only those who are actually in knowledge are allowed to work, technically speaking.
Yes.
Only those who have passed the driver's license test can allowed to drive. Similarly, you want to drive this body and do here, this, that. Well, you should first know what the human life is for.
Yeah, I completely agree with Vijay Mataji's question, because lately, because of this pandemic and everything, people are at home. So one of my friend from India, she texted me and she said, यार आजकल लोग बहुत ज्ञान बांटने लगे, कुछ काम है नहीं, ज्ञान बांट रहे. So I told her, be careful, कुछ भी मत उठा लेना. That's how it is. Gyan Bhatna. I think that's the term these days in Hindi.
But sometimes people do get carried away by philosophical part, and they end up being impractical. So that is the problem. I think what some people is too philosophical means then they lose touch. This is what Krishna is saying. Don't just get this way. How many people can do that? And lose touch with reality. You lose touch with what works, what is practical, what's doable. And sometimes this, absent-minded professor, they only know deeply that one theoretical thing. They don't even know how to tie their button at that point, because they're so absorbed in one part of philosophy or something like that. So Krishna is saying, no, you live in the world, learn how the world works, because when you start applying your philosophical understanding to the world, and then you'll see how things are working, your faith in that philosophy gets stronger. And when you leverage that knowledge in doing things, you'll accomplish a number of things. One is you'll gradually come out of the addictions of trying to enjoy matter, because you see it for what it is. Two, you will still manage to nourish yourself and people around you. And three, you will realize you don't need to do any of this, but you will still do it to set a good example to others who are not at your level. You see, setting a good example is also very important. That will come later on in chapter 3. If you read the chapter, you will see. So, and he gives example of King Janaka also. There's many good things come out of this synthesis of action and philosophy.
Yeah.
Right? Lakshmi Mataji, you had a point?
I have a question, if you can clarify more. He says, Krishna says, the demigods are his limbs, and how do you not get caught up? Like, you would tell our children, oh, you should pray Saraswati Devi, before you go to school. Or, like if you're starting something, pray Ganpati, like how do you, I know it should be anyway going toward Vishnu and, Krishna, but how do you, if you can, speak more about that and,
Yeah, this is a very big topic that comes up later on. Krishna does mention it quite a bit. And he says that even though I have empowered all these different Devi Devtas, demigods, Saraswati, Lakshmi, Ganapati, they're all empowered by me, Lord Brahma. They're doing what they do because I'm empowering them. Whatever they do is coming through me only anyway. But those whose intelligence is stolen by deep material desires, they try to run after these demigods exclusively. And they forget about me. And sometimes Prabhupada is giving certain analogies, like it's like instead of following the rules, you find some officer, you try to bribe him so he can circumvent the rules. If I bribe this officer, but if the super boss finds out, then it's not good. That is not the system. However, it is good to recognize who these officers are. It is good to show them the proper respect. It is good to bow down to them, never disrespect them. But you should not think of them to be supreme, because that is an offense to the actual supreme. You see. Secondly, the different rituals that are centered around these different worship mechanisms and systems are primarily materially motivated. Just think about it. You want to get good grades, you go to Saraswati. If they're not spiritually motivated. You want a good husband, you go to this person. You want to, you want to accumulate a lot of wealth, you go to Lakshmi Devi. Why you go to Lakshmi Devi? Oh, Lakshmi Devi, please come to my house. You send invitation. Imagine I send an invitation to one lady and I tell her, you please come to my house. How does that look? What about my husband? No, husband, he can stay home. You come to my house. Lakshmi come, Narayan can stay there. You see, what does that mean? That means I want to enjoy Lakshmi without Narayan. That is not the way that civilized human works. That is the way of Ravan. Ravan wanted to enjoy Lakshmi without Narayan. Steal Lakshmi, use it for my sense gratification. So in Ramayana, there are two very powerful characters. One is Ravan and the other is Hanuman. Hanuman's job is to take Lakshmi from Ravan, take her back to the feet of Narayan. Rescue Lakshmi. So when we change our mindset from Ravan to Hanuman type mindset, we go from non-devotee to devotee mindset, where now I see that Lakshmi is there, money is there. Money is not for my sense gratification. Money is for Krishna's pleasure. So now we're changing from Ravan to Hanuman in the heart. You see, so basically the point is when Narayan becomes the center, then all the other demigods find their place very naturally. You see them for who they are. And we don't need to worship them. There's actually quite a bit of energy that is wasted, spent, and time that's, we don't need it, because everything comes from Krishna anyway. You see? That's how it works. I hope that helps.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
All right.
Yeah, like you said, this is, I don't know, like how Lakshmi Mataji said, as much as I understand the concept, it's just so difficult for me to kind of put it into practice, because it's something that you've grown up doing.
It's not easy. And even I grew up in Krishna conscious household, but we did do a lot of worship, and we had all the Devi Devtas, and our focus was Ambe Ma and Lord Shiva. Those are the two big ones, right? And Durga and Shiva. That was huge, and it was very hard for me to give up. And you don't have to actually give up in one sense. But it gradually gives up naturally. Like I'm convinced is by Lord Shiva's mercy that I came into Krishna consciousness. So I'm always in ecstasy when I see a temple of Lord Shiva. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu traveled all over India, he visited Lord Shiva temples, he danced in ecstasy in them because he recognized who they are. But Vaishnavas do not engage in the various ritualistic practices of worshipping them. That's all. That's all. And also another thing is that we don't keep demigod on the same altar as Lord Krishna. That's considered offensive. So those are rules. Because it's called rasa bhas. Even within Krishna avatars, we don't mix and match. Right? We don't put Ram and Radha together. We put Ram and Sita. Like that. You don't do mix and match randomly. So similarly, on the same altar, you don't put, Ganpati, everybody, like it's a gift frame shop. No. There are certain rules of what is rasa bhas, what is appropriate and all that.
Okay.
That's all it is. Okay.
This explanation really changes the thinking process. So thank you for the clarification.
Thank you for bringing. These are very, very good questions, and we face them every day. And they're deep questions that we haven't come across clear answer until we come to Prabhupada's explanation. Prabhupada's explanation is very clear and deep, and so many of Hindu misconceptions are completely and very nicely dismantled in the Gita that Srila Prabhupada has given us. And we have tons of them, and as we read through it, we'll realize misconceptions we weren't aware of. As we go through this material. By the end of this, we'll have overcome quite a few of them. Right? So thank you very much for joining. So we'll put a pause here and we'll continue next Tuesday. If you have not read chapter 3, now see if you can finish reading chapter 3. It's only another 20 verses, like 40 something verses, very short. And they move very quickly. So read the rest of chapter 3 for next time. And now we will do Kirtan. You can play Madanga.
Time to see kiddies, babies.
Bring all the kids. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Go Brahmande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol,
Hari Bol.
Manali.
Oh,
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Bye.
Bye.
Barbara, why you are doing that?
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Bye.
Can hear you.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
अमिता नहीं लगती हाँ आज अमिता नहीं लगती
Hari Bol, Hemi Koi.
हरी बोल हरी बोल
Hari Bol.
हरी बोल
Hare Krishna. Read the chapter. Read the whole chapter. Okay, we'll discuss it again.
yes
Bye.
Bye Hare Krishna
Krishna.